Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Front Row Access Podcast. I am your host, Steven Russo. It's my co-host, Anthony.
With the fro again.
With the fro again, although it doesn't look like he has his pick.
I do not, unfortunately.
How fucking dare you? Don't you know that's what comes with every single fro? I think it's a fake, guys. He's wearing a wig. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to be doing something a little bit different on the podcast today. Now, we're going to go over a genre of music that I don't typically go into all that often. And that genre of music is country music. Now, before you go and write me off, alright, I'm kind of new to this. Anthony's more the country person than I am.
I got it from my grandma.
I've been doing this, I've been listening to country for the past, month and a half. Just, trying to get into it. And before you write, yes, and of course, I'm a metalhead, and most metalheads are like, fuck country music. But guess what? I actually like it. Is it my preferred genre? Hell no. But, is it something I'll willingly listen to, and is it something that I find value in? Of course.
He is both a little bit country and a little bit of rock and roll.
And a little bit of a hip-hop head. I mean, I'm just fucking all over the place, man. But, we're going to be talking about a couple of the subgenres that I found most interesting. If I were to do every single subgenre of country, we'd be here for like 5 fucking hours.
But you would have so many episodes.
On them. So we're just going to do one episode. We're going to go over the subgenres that I like the most and the ones that I've been listening to mostly. And
what? We can do this coverall, and whatever you guys say in the comments, if you want to dive into another one, we can put that for another day.
Yeah, we can do it on metal. Please do it on metal. Please. Anyway, so we can do another subgenre analysis on metal. We can do it with rock. We can even do it with pop or hip hop, and we can dive into all of the different subgenres of that and do it that way.
Wait, what if they tell us to do K-pop?
Fuck.
Forget you heard that.
K-pop. I love K-pop so much. It's my favorite genre in the whole wide world. I love it so fucking much. But if the demand is there, I will happily put myself through torture. I got a little cousin that I think can help with that.
Yep.
Anyway.
She'd actually probably just be dancing in the background, if we're being honest.
Yeah, she probably would. Her father would probably kill me for putting her online, though. So we probably won't have her on the podcast, but she'll definitely be my insider. I also have a couple of friends that are into K-pop as well, which I don't fucking know why. But, to each their own. I mean, a lot of people... I
don't understand why people pick what they pick.
Exactly. I gotta understand it.
We just gotta review what the demand's for.
Exactly. Anyway... So we're going to be going over some country subgenres today. So our main ones are going to be mainstream country, indie country, outlaw country, and classic country. I think that's a good overview. Those are the 4 meatiest genres, it seems. Well, maybe not indie country. I put indie country on there because I got a couple of indie country artists that I really like. But, yep. So we're going to talk, I got my limited experience, but I do enjoy it. But I've always listened to it and enjoyed it throughout my whole life, but I've just never really cared. If I'm honest, I never wanted to learn who the singer was. I never wanted to, go into a genre. I just was like, oh, it's a country song. Oh, I kind of like it. All right, cool, I like this one. Never really had to dive into subgenres and artists and lyrics and shit like that. I'm really very surface level.
Surprising take, but, growing up, this really was never that popular. But I can say for sure that there's at least a couple country songs that, when I first heard, I was tearing up over them, which is a huge surprise because I'm a very tough cookie to crack.
Extremely tough cookie to crack. It takes a whole bunch to get this one out. To get this one out of line. It doesn't take much for me, so it is what it is. But anyway, so I'm gonna say my current favorites that I got with me right now. I absolutely love Luke Bryan. I've noticed I've gone back to him multiple times. And I know a lot more songs from Luke Bryan than I do any other artist. But Luke Bryan, I love George Strait. And, George Strait, yeah. Rip. I like Morgan Wallen. And, the Jason Aldeans of the world. And the Toby Keiths of the world. I like them. But I also enjoy some Hank Williams Jr. and some Willie Nelson. If we're going to be kicking a classic there. But I do got 2 other country artists that aren't very known. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't. I know one of them you probably haven't heard of, and the other one maybe. But we got, so we're gonna touch on them more with the indie country when I go over their songs. But we got Buddy Brown and Colt McBee. I like them both, and they're kind of a little bit under the radar. Not too much, especially Colt McBee. He's a little bit under the radar. But Buddy Brown, you might have heard of him. But anyway, Anthony, you got some favorite country artists?
Oh, plenty of them. George Strait for sure. Uh, I like most of Toby Keith's stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but Kenny Rogers and Garth Brooks,
R.I.P. Kenny Rogers.
they're way up there for
Mm-hmm.
me. Um, what I've heard from Reba, I love her work too.
Yeah.
Odd enough, considering how aged that is.
Yeah, Reba McEntire. She's good though.
Oh yeah, very good.
I listened to her a couple times.
Her solo is one of the ones that got me to tear up in "Cowgirls Don't Cry"
Ah,
song.
I haven't heard that one yet. Maybe I should go back and listen to that.
It's
Any-
a good one.
Anyway, so speaking of which, it seems like we had a lot of mainstream country artists that were mentioned, especially on my end. So we're gonna go over the mainstream country real quick. So mainstream country is, it's often released by major labels, and they have this kind of stadium pandering feel to them.
Oh boy, yeah, say pandering. All I'm thinking about is Bo Burnham. All I'm thinking about is Bo Burnham.
Oh, we love it. Bo Burnham. Shout out Bo Burnham. If you're listening to this fucking podcast here on YouTube, we're huge fans.
We are.
So if you hit us up, bro, we'll do whatever the fuck you want. So, well, within reason. Within reason. I know if I say anything you want in regards to Bo Burnham.
Seriously, if by chance you are listening to this and you just want to come on to promote something you're doing,
We are more than happy to. I will set up that meeting almost immediately. Anyway, so mainstream country's got that kind of, I know, it's got that, like, mainstream appeal. It's focused on commercial value while adding some aspects of, like, true country to it, the outdoors, the trucks, the beer, all that fun, all the fun stuff. And a couple of notable, like, mainstream country artists, or stadium country artists, if you will. We got Tim McGraw, Luke Bryan especially, Miranda Lambert, Kenny Chesney, Carrie Underwood, and a couple more like that. But, we're not here to trash on mainstream country, guys, because I actually kind of like that stuff. It's nice to hear something that's easy to pick up on.
yeah, this whole podcast, it's with all due respect to country music, we're not here to trash on it or anything. We're just here to give our different perspective and opinions on different artists and different songs.
Exactly. So we're not here to hate on other subgenres like a lot of you country fans tend to do, which I've noticed. Which, bro, why? I might ask why you like country music. Why do you like to hate on the subgenres of it? I need to know that answer.
I never understood hate towards anything, if I'm being honest. I'm that type of guy, because that just seems like too much energy.
It really is. Also,
Do something else,
I'm sipping on this Mountain Dew Zero. Pepsi, hit us up.
please.
Please.
We love you here.
Please. We got that Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. A zero sugar option for anybody that's trying to keep that sugar intake low. And still get that Mountain Dew taste. This one tastes real, real good. And it's even got more caffeine than the actual, like,
Hey, it
Sugar-added
just says
soda.
Sugar, okay? It doesn't say anything about caffeine.
let's
And,
see.
Pepsi, if you want to send us some test Mountain Dew, we'll do that too. We'll do that on
Oh, yeah.
stream too.
Oh, of course we will. We'll do whatever the hell you want. It's frontrowaccess15@gmail.com. I keep saying it. Y'all can use that email address to send in some suggestions, too, if you want any kind of questions you might have. Or, just drop them in the comments on YouTube if you're listening there. If you're on Spotify, well, fuck. Go to fucking YouTube. Anyway.
We're there now too.
Yes, we're there now, too.
We are spreading.
We are spreading. We're also on TikTok.
We are. Even though I don't own a TikTok, but we are there.
We're on TikTok. So, of course, more social media plugs at the end. But you can find us on there. Usually under some kind of iteration of Front Row Access.
Oh yeah.
Oh, fuck, excuse me. That's that Mountain Dew burp. Anyway. So, yeah, so mainstream country's pretty cool, guys. I mean, I love Luke Bryan. especially. I'm gonna keep going back to him because he's probably my favorite country artist right now. My favorite song is probably Hunting, Fishing, and Loving Every Day, despite it being so basic. I absolutely love it because I'll listen to that and I'm like, yes.
As far as mainstream goes, I'm gonna go more Toby Keith on that because
Toby Keith is great though.
it's just
You got a
a
favorite
good
song?
time.
Got a favorite song from Toby Keith?
Oh, yeesh.
Yeesh.
So there's always some bubbling in my head. I'll give you my list more towards when we get to that segment or more into it. We still got more to go over though.
We got a whole lot more to go over. But that's mainstream country. It's the stuff that you usually will hear on the radio. It's blessed with radio time and it's
Yes.
blessed with YouTube popularity and Spotify streams because everybody knows them. Because they got a more of a poppy feel to them.
I also feel like that's where a lot of the hatred comes from because they're thinking they're not living this life; they're just talking it.
But I mean, even if they do, like, I hate on it.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what are you wasting your energy on?
Just something for them to do.
But yeah, it's got a poppy feel to it, but it's still got some of those traditional country instruments. You still hear a harmonica or two. You still
Yeah.
hear the same guitar riffs that you would hear in like classic country.
It's got, I'm not going to say all because obviously there's different opinions, but it's got a lot of what made country big in the first place, but it's to appeal to a wider audience and expand their horizons too.
Exactly, because sometimes people will get into the genre by mainstream country, and then therefore, if they want to get something a little bit more real, if you want to call it that, then they'll go to something like our next category, like indie country.
Yes.
Now, independent country is usually released independently. Fucking shocking. And
No way.
no way, they don't have a label,
You're joking.
or they don't have a big label. My
Did-
goodness.
Did you research this?
Of
Are you
course
sure?
I did. Of course I did. I had to do extensive research, 6+ hours sitting in front of this here laptop that's recording this whole damn thing right now. Yes, my whole hub. I wish you guys could see the setup. It's so broken, but it works, and we make it happen every single time. But I had to do some extensive research to make sure that indie country artists were in fact independent and didn't have a major record label. So, they're released independently, and there's not much radio. They don't enjoy a lot of radio time. You kind of have to know somebody that knows the artist in order to learn about the artist. And despite it being country, per se, it focuses more on different, like, creative elements, and it lets you be a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more experimental with it, seeming as it is independent and is mostly focused on creativity.
Well, a lot of stuff when it says independent, what they get to do are the stuff that the mainstream won't touch
Mm-hmm.
because their label doesn't like it or their own personal belief or they don't want to get smothered by other people in their opinion.
Or, they just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
They
All due
don't.
respect to the indies who do it,
Yeah, the indies that do it, it's a tough route to go down, and it definitely shows that you have a love for the genre. If you are an independent country artist or a lover of independent country music, you just have an appreciation for country music and music in general, if you're listening to independents.
Which is something incredible. What if they email us too?
Which ones?
The independent ones.
Hey, yo, so if any independent country artists out there want to come and promote their music, or independent artists in general, I don't care if you're rock, pop, whatever the fuck, hit us up, frontrowaccess15@gmail.com.
We love you.
Or shoot us a DM on Instagram, front_row_access on Instagram. Anyway, so independent country is really creative, and it lets you, it gives a good creative spin, and it lets you be a little bit more experimental with it, while still sticking to the roots of country. Now, those two people that I mentioned off the top are independent country artists. We have Buddy Brown and we have Colt McBee. Now, Colt McBee, he's not really a full-time artist, if I'm going to say that. He's an Olympic medalist skeet shooter who just so happens to make music, and it happens to be good. I think he only has like 4 songs out, and he hasn't released one since 2020, but they're still worth a listen because they're good songs. He has The One, he has Bonfires and Tailgates, which he did with Demolition Ranch, or Matt Carricker, if you guys watch that channel. And that shout out Demolition Ranch. Anyway, um, he has Bonfires and Tailgates, The One, Lost in You, and Drinking Over Me, all of which are very good songs that I think are worth a listen. I just wish he would make more music because he hasn't made music. He hasn't released anything since 2020. And I'm like, I like you. Your songs are nice. I like your voice. I like your production style. Where the fuck are you?
Well, I mean, like you said, if he's not focused on it, like say he's focused on the Olympics and whatnot, he's short on time.
Exactly. He's probably training all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But regardless, he's worth a listen if you really do want to check out somebody and an artist that not a lot of your friends won't know, and you want to have that little leg up on them.
If you in the know.
If you want to be in the know and be like, yeah, I was there day one, baby, before Colt McBee blows up, because I bet you if he started doing music full time, he would blow up. But you know, if you want to go and do that, go right ahead and do it. He only has about 4 songs out there, so that's about 12 minutes of music for you. 12 minutes of your time, and you find a new artist that you may or may not like.
You know, we always say you got it before the first album was released.
Exactly. And the other one is Buddy Brown. This guy actually is a full-time artist. He does release music on the regular. However, it is to a very, very, very niche audience. And he says a couple things in his songs that would be considered offensive to some people.
I was going to say, when I looked into him, it did seem like he did use his podium to talk about his beliefs and what he thinks should and shouldn't be done, which everyone should do. It's just don't let that dictate what you believe or not. It's not a cult following.
Exactly.
It's an opinion.
So, you know, this guy has, this guy is a very, I love his voice and I love his production style. And I'll be honest, not to get into too much depth, I agree with some of his songs. But, maybe not all of them, but some of them I do.
Are you going to become a stan for him?
Maybe not. We'll see. But he has, let's see, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 albums out. He's been at the game since 2012 with his first album, Mason Jar. And his most recent one came out just this summer called Truck Sessions, which is a highly, highly political album.
2012, that would mean he has 11 going on 13 years in the game?
Just about. And he's been doing it nonstop, and he uses his platform to, you know, he puts out his, he puts his beliefs out there in the open. And he doesn't really give a shit, and I honestly have so much respect for it. Like, sure, even if it was, like, somebody who was more on the, oh yeah, spoiler alert, yeah, it's country music. He's very right-wing. Just gonna say it.
You spoiled it for them.
Yes, he's very right-wing. But honestly, you gotta respect the guy for, you know, having the balls to go on and make songs like that. And he just doesn't care, and I honestly gotta respect it. He sticks by what he believes in, and he makes songs about it, and they're entertaining. Even though I may not agree with a whole lot of his, maybe not a whole lot of it, but definitely some of the stuff that he's said in a couple of his songs. But like, I gotta respect the grind, man. I do the same thing for a liberal artist. I mean, I'm a big fan of Eminem. He uses his platform, and you know, he's more of a left-wing liberal guy. But I don't care. He says his opinion, he puts it out there, and I respect it. I might not always agree with it. But, just like I might not always agree with Buddy Brown, but I'm centrist, guys. You're never going to get that off of me.
Just a forewarning, if we ever do an Eminem one, it's probably going to be the biggest multi-part one to date.
It's going to be bigger than Linkin Park, probably.
There's just that much material in that discography.
He has so much shit, man. I love Eminem. He's the go-to rap, man. I'm going to say it right now. Everybody loves to say, like, Dr. Dre or Tupac. I'm like, yeah, they're great. But you got 2 and 3 right there. Eminem's number 1, man. But yeah, Buddy Brown, he's worth a listen. I mean, of course, prepare to maybe not agree with a couple of things that he says. Of course, I don't agree with some of the things that he says, but I still respect it. And if you want to know an album that I think you should listen to, I think you should listen to his second and third album, Just Saying and Deep South. Because my favorite song from him is is Just Saying, and that's on the Just Saying album. So, you know, give that a listen if you want to. And he doesn't just do like political, like he's not just a political guy. He also has a couple of stories in here Like, of course, on his album Deep South, he goes into a little bit more like, you know, a little bit more like storytelling than anything else. And he's like, I think we played football. That's another one off of one of his albums. I forget exactly which one, but I want to use this to, let you know that he's a good guy, but he can get very political. And you might not like him, but he's still worth a listen. I love his production style. I love his voice. He's very real, and he honestly he's like no bullshit. He gives no fucks. He legit just like, yeah, what you see is what you get, homie.
This is me.
This is me and only me. I'm like, fucking respect, dude. And yep. So that's Buddy Brown. I also got a couple of cool independent artists on here. We got Maggie Rose, and we have Morgan Wade. Morgan Wade song, if I were to give you a recommendation, would be Wilder Days. She has a tremendous voice in that, and the production style of that song. It has electronics in it, but it's also instrumental. So it's a good little middle there. And then Maggie Rose has this song called Best in Me that I think you really should check out. And it's rather recent. I think it came out 2 years ago. But she also has two songs that were featured on Disney Channel. Didn't break out and watch me. They were on the show Shake It Up. If you watched Disney Channel as a kid, yeah, it might spark a memory or two. But that's indie country. It's a
Niche.
It's a very niche genre, and a lot of people that listen to independent stuff tend to be niche people. So depends on your likings and depends on what you want in your music. But indie country is definitely something worthwhile because it's not just one dedicated sound. Like if you're gonna get mainstream country, you're gonna get that stadium country sound. You get outlaw country, you're gonna get that raw, like deep, dark rock. You're gonna get hit with some shit. And if you get classic country, you're gonna get hit with some like all-time great tunes that you'll always know for like the rest of your life. You just know the sound. It's just one of those things that you just know when it's country music, and you know when it's which genre. But with indie, you don't really know because indie country has so many different sounds. So it's definitely a wild card, and you should totally check it out. Now, I did mention something in that little thing there, and that little something was probably my favorite subgenre of country, which is in fact outlaw country. So outlaw country is great, guys. Now, this was sent in as a viewer request, so I'm going to use this opportunity to give a little shout out to that viewer. He knows who he is. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you, he's got a cool little clothing brand out there called Culture Clothing. You should go and check it out on Instagram. And he's a big fan of outlaw country, and I've been meaning to do something with country music and have a pretty good discussion about outlaw country for a little while now. So, sorry to that viewer that it took so damn long, but well, man of my word, I told you I'd do it, and I'm doing it.
We'll get there eventually.
Scheduling's tough, especially with both of us now that I'm back in college.
We're gonna attack you.
And this one just picked up a new job, and we're both fucking trying to adjust.
But we will definitely keep the content coming, so don't you worry about that.
We're going to try to get some kind of schedule in here and set like one day aside so we can just make a podcast because there are so many things that we have to do. I didn't even get to go over the UFC pay-per-view this weekend. Guys, when do I miss a UFC pay-per-view?
I was going to say, when have we missed one?
When have we missed a UFC pay-per-view? Well, we missed 292. Fuck, we missed 2 pay-per-view cards in a row. Damn it. Last one we did was 291 with Poirier and Gaethje. By the way, tremendous fight card. Derek Lewis with that flying knee, and Poirier getting sent into the fucking Shadow Realm. So, I mean, it was a great fight card. Lots of finishes, very exciting. Even though I'm very, very sad that Dustin Poirier got knocked the fuck out. But, shit, man. Gaethje was the better guy that day. They're 1-1 now. I want Gaethje to go all the way to the fucking championship, and I want their trilogy to be for the belt. Then I'll root for Dustin Poirier again. But shit, man, I love Gaethje. I couldn't have asked for Poirier to lose to somebody better. So he's my second favorite fighter in the game. And then, of course, tonight we have Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland, the wild man, the redneck. Somebody that's probably listening to some of the songs that we are mentioning right now. Maybe not those first two, but definitely this one.
Imagine if he comes out to one of the songs we mentioned here.
Dude, that would be fucking sick. Anyway, off
This is
topic.
shot before the pay-per-view. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know when it's uploaded, but before the pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, this is shot before UFC 293. I have no idea what the fuck happened on that card yet. So, anyway, I'm getting off topic. So we're going to get back to country music, and we're going on outlaw country. So, I love this subgenre of, country music. Because it was, the way it was formed was fucking savage, right? So, it was formed at a time in the early 70s, late 60s. And, it was meant to go against the creative limitations set by the Nashville establishment of country music, which they kind of ruled the country music world for a little bit. They dictated the sound, dictated what got played on the radio, and of course those little the stuff that they would give the green light to are more like honky tonk jams and stuff that even considered, oh my gosh, if some of those outlaw country saw the fucking bullshit we got going on today, they'd probably start a whole nother outlaw revolution. But that's how the name outlaw country comes into play. It's because they went against what was popular at that time, which was that honky tonk sound, that kind of smooth, with like some sophisticated background vocals that you heard at every single Nashville honky tonker bar. You know, they did not like that shit, and they said it took away from the art of it. Which fucking respect. And so then they started the outlaw movement, which arguably created probably the best subgenre in country music history right there. Definitely a very influential one, if it's not the best one.
Like we tell you stand up for something, your belief and whatnot. It doesn't matter if we agree or not. Mutual respect there.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough going against something established like that.
Yeah, especially at that time period. Everybody, like, they heard country music, they thought, like, Ray Charles and shit. Which might not have resonated with everybody at the time. Although Ray Charles is great. Don't get me wrong, no diss to Ray Charles, R.I.P. But, he had that kind of Nashville sound to him. And that might not have resonated with a whole lot of people. So then these couple of guys formed the outlaw movement, and then they created this tremendous subgenre of country music. So it has a lot of influence from a lot of different country styles. We have a lot of Western country that's influenced in it. You know, that cowboy life, out west and shit. Which, that rough riding, horseback, shotgun shooting, fucking cowboy music. It has a lot of Western country influence. It's got a lot of folk influence. And it's got blues influence. And it all kind of just conglomerated into outlaw country. And, most of the time what you can expect out of an outlaw country song is it consists of rock and folk rhythms, as well as some country instrumentation and introspective lyrics, which I fucking love. Obviously, you see the guys that I listen to. Shut up, phone. You see the guys I listen to, guys. You've seen the other podcasts. I got the Linkin Park one. I got the NF one. I love me some introspective storytelling lyrics. And that is exactly what outlaw country is. And I fucking love it. Sure, is it dark at times? Yes. But, yes. Yes. But it is, in fact, it's awesome. And I love the way that they kind of just went against what was an established sound at that time, and then they created something new out of it. And hell, it might have even given influence to a couple of country artists that we see today. So, outlaw country is considered to be a harder-edged variant of progressive country, which all progressive country is it was a reaction to the pop-oriented Nashville sound that I mentioned earlier. So, they had a whole subgenre, but outlaw had its own little thing. It was mainly focused on, like, a lot of everyday struggles, and it was focused on there was a lot of, yeah, here I am, drinking alone at the bar. I'm drunk at the bar, but my family's gone, and it's all my fault. You know what I mean? That's kind of what outlaw country was, like, very introspective, it can be down on yourself, or it can be telling a different kind of story about how you've lived how you've lived and the struggles that you go through, which is another reason why I love this subgenre.
This reminds me of a lot of that song Lucille. I'd say it's
Do tell.
Kenny Rogers.
I haven't heard much of that.
And it's about his wife leaving him just as the crops are failing, and he's got mouths to feed at home, and she's at a bar trying to hook up with someone else.
Damn.
Yeah.
That shit's rough. But that's the type of lyricism that you can see in outlaw country all the time. It's very storytelling, it's introspective, and it can also be like self-deprecating at that. I can almost guarantee you maybe a lot of these outlaw country artists had a little bit of depression with them. And they just expressed it through their music, which was against what was the predetermined, fun-loving, smooth sound that was the Nashville sound. Instead, they took this rough turn. They took this darker turn. They had more rock, like, they have a lot of rock influence as well within their stuff, because at this point in time, rock and roll was already pretty damn established. So,
And I always appreciate when someone decides to do something different.
and that's exactly what all these outlaw artists did. Now, we got a couple of notable outlaw artists, and I'm sure you've probably heard of them. You got Willie Nelson, you got Waylon Jennings, Hank Williams Jr., and I put Johnny Cash in here too. So all of them are considered to be probably the biggest outlaw country artists, and a whole lot of people nowadays have influence from those guys.
Yeah, they're definitely the biggest breakout ones from it, and got the most influence onto the next generation of country singers.
And exactly. I mean, we have Hank Williams Jr. I fucking love that guy. That guy was awesome. I love that song Weatherman, where he says, "Weatherman, tell me, is it gonna be rain again today? Is it gonna be sorrowful again?" And then he has Whiskey Ben and Hellbound. That's a great song too. A Country Boy Can Survive. I'm sure you've heard that one a couple of times. And Family Tradition. Of course, these are very family-oriented, very personal, very, like, introspective and connective lyrics. And they're rooted mostly within either the self or the family unit. The stories that you see within outlaw country. And it's a giant storytelling genre, even though some of it might be not that great. But all of these guys, and they gave birth to this new wave of country music that gave influence to a whole bunch of next generation country artists. Those people in the outlaw country era in like the late 60s and the early 70s really influenced kind of how modern country is now. I'm pretty sure, because you got people before the late 60s, like into like mid 60s back to like the 1950s, which is the classic country era, which I'll get into that momentarily. But you had people of the classic era, and then they kind of divulged into a subgenre that was more appealing to mass audiences, and that's where you get that Nashville sound. Probably gave birth to what mainstream country is now. And that outlaw country stuff probably gave way to that independent country stuff that I was talking about earlier. You see, there's a split there. It's like splitting it right down the middle, like that. So that outlaw country period was extremely influential. And those outlaw country artists that were on the other side of the spectrum, more probably the indie country spectrum, probably influenced a lot of those people. But those people that had that Nashville sound to them probably went to the mainstream country artists, which it just goes to show how important that area of music was, because you're between the modern era of country and the classic era of country, and they kind of just split the timeline so that you don't need to stay on this timeline. They kind of go, they kind of split off into their own way. Like, yeah, you had this spectrum that's been building since like Elvis, and then that's what they did. They gave way to that darker side, that more introspective side, that more in-depth side of country music, the more storytelling and relatability stuff. That's what Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Hank Williams Jr., and Johnny Cash did. So that's outlaw country. I just went on a gigantic tangent about them, but hell, man, I fucking loved listening to outlaw country for the past month and a half. I mean, Anthony, do you got a favorite? You got anything on outlaw?
So, I'm someone who appreciates stories when I hear my music, and I don't think I could pick any outlaw country song that doesn't have a good story to it.
No, they all got something.
Because that's what I follow and what I take away when I hear music.
You take away the lyrics. That's what we both take away from it. We're not just going into this to see if like we want to like go out and dance to the song. You know what I mean? Sure, we could go out and dance to it, but it's a little tough dancing to your wife leaving you and trying to hook up with another guy at the bar. It's kind of tough to dance to that, but that's outlaw country. One of the most influential genres of country music, one of the most popular, and obviously my favorite, if I haven't made that apparent enough. So thank you to that viewer for recommending me all these outlaw country artists, because you just gave away to a whole different subsection of music that I love. And yep, so now we're going to go into that other era that I was talking about. Maybe not so much the modern era. We're going to go back to the classic era. Oh yeah, this is where all the meat and potatoes is. No pun. But this was the classic country, man. This is what a lot of people will always say is the real country music. You know what I mean? I mean, outlaw country is definitely on the real country side too, but classic country especially. A lot of people that like to diss the mainstream country go back to these classic country artists, and they use them as the real country music, and the other guys as fake country music, even though it's not fake. It's really not. It's just a different sound.
Yeah,
Get over yourself.
I feel like they mainly hate on the stadium country music because they don't believe these artists are actually pulling their weight like they say they do on performance and whatnot.
But, which can be very true, but, I mean, country music is definitely geared towards that blue-collar worker. It's geared towards that working man or woman, and it's, typically middle-class people, working-class people tend to enjoy country music. You don't really hear country music too much in the hosh-posh area, nor with the poor people, so...
I remember when I used to be a Stop and Shop bakery department, when I would go into work, there's 3 different mindsets and mode I went into. If I was listening to my hip-hop, I was getting stuff done as fast as possible. If I wanted a nice slow day, I'd listen to the type of music you'd hear on like Fallout and whatnot. But if I wanted to be a hard worker, the hardest worker, get as much done as possible in as little time as possible, it was always country I went to.
Country time. What was some of your go-to country songs when you were in that hard-working mood?
When I was in that hard-working mood? Probably one would be Whiskey for My Men, Beer for My Horses.
Good ass song.
It's about getting shit done.
That's exactly what it is.
And rewarding yourself after you get it done.
Exactly. We love that shit.
Because I don't like lazy people.
No, me neither.
I feel like you should be doing your part to, keep your mouth fed and whatnot. And that the reward at the end for most of these is just the payoff of having it done. Yeah,
that's exactly it, And that's that was probably your go-to work song every single time with the country. What about your hip-hop song?
Ooh, hip-hop. Shit. I try to stay out Eminem when I talk to this, but
yeah.
If I'm getting stuff done, it's Lose Yourself.
You better.
That's about taking your shot and running with it.
I have performed that song in front of a bunch of people before, plenty of times. I love Eminem so much. Anyway, what about that? What about that Fallout music? What you be listening to? That 50s music.
That 50s music.
You probably got some classic country in there.
I do, but it's a lot harder to detect the genres when you go that far back, like 70 years back those songs were.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough to decipher genre. You can easily decipher genre these days, but not so much then. Music was kind of just music.
It was just developing itself. Hit the floor running, but
evolution.
Dear Hearts and Gentle People.
You know what my go-to Fallout song is? Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. And we'll all stay free. If y'all know that song, you're awesome. I love that song. Anyway, but, this is classic country we gotta be talking about here. So, a lot of these artists are well known, and these are the real country artists, according to those types of country fans.
And they also get plenty of airtime, so you might have heard
You might
Quite
have
a
heard
few
one
of
or
the
two
people
of
we're
them.
about to talk about.
You might have heard one or two of them, or at least heard of the artist. So let's see. So classic country. It was popular from about post-war, so we're talking late 40s and late 40s and the 50s, all the way until about the early 80s, late 70s, around there. This is about the classic country era. Of course, I like to make my cutoff at the mid 1970s, and I think there was a big switch. Of course, I say the mid 70s. That's about the height of the outlaw era. So, yeah, coincidence? I think not. But so it's considered to be country's golden era, their best era. Like I said, it's that stuff that it's these artists, these songs that get people going.
I think either Stadium or Outlaw or even Indie, they'll be able to reference some of these guys and what they put out.
They all have influence from any classic country artist. This is why we're ending the subgenres with the classic country artist, because this is the one that everything stems back to. And they all use traditional country instruments within their songs. So your banjos, your guitars, your harmonicas,
Now,
your
before
fiddles.
we continue here,
Mhm.
I don't mean to interrupt you,
Yes.
but we do have to pay our respects to the late great Jimmy Buffett
R.I.P. Jimmy Buffett.
and Kenny Rogers.
R.I.P. Kenny Rogers.
Those are amazing artists. You should definitely check out their work if you haven't already.
At least listen to 3 songs from them. I guarantee you'll probably know those 3 too. You just didn't know it was them. But this truly, they were a big influence in how music is today, and well, country music especially. And they're big in the great songs, great lyrics, great production, very, very much worth the listen. And guys, stop hating on country. Stop hating on country. This is the point of this episode. You got a metalhead and a hip hop head talking about country music right now. Come on, man. If this doesn't say stop hating on country, I don't know what will. But especially if you go back to like the classic stuff like that we're talking about right now.
Oh, yeah.
This is really what country music is like built off of. What you hear now is built off of these songs, and all these songs are iconic in their own way. And you should definitely give it a shot. And stop hating on country. Am I the only one that thinks that the people that like absolutely shit on country just were told to and never listened to it in their life?
I wouldn't be surprised if they never gave it a shot. Like 70%, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'd probably say a good 75% of them never even like considered trying it. And they were just...
I would also say peer pressure gave way to that too.
Exactly, because a whole lot of metalheads and hip-hop heads like ourselves, metalheads, hip-hop heads especially, I say we're both pretty damn bad when it comes to shitting on country
music.
music.
Don't listen to that stuff.
Don't listen to that noise.
That's old, it's slow, this stuff will get you pumping, it's played in the clubs, this is where you want to be.
It's a marketing scheme. Anyway, so... yeah, metalheads and hip-hop heads especially, we love to shit on country music all the time. I even used to be one of these country music shit on people. Even though I never really gave it a shot, and I only knew a couple of mainstream country artists, I never really dove in like I have recently.
I never could, specifically because Grandma always had these songs
Our grandma always had country music on. Freaking Connie Francis, George Strait up in there. And, it's a good time. And I didn't really start having an appreciation for country music until maybe about fucking 4 years ago. Probably. But through most of my youth, I always shit on country music, no matter what it was. And it was mostly because I heard a lot of people in the hip-hop scene, especially because hip-hop is what made me find metal, say that how much they hated country music. And I'm like, yeah, that's just not right, dog. Well, what you talking about? I'm going to go and give country music a listen. And I started in 2019, and then, I haven't gone back since. It's been a good time. Of course, have I had my days where I'm like spotty with country music and I don't listen to it all the time and I'd rather listen to my metal list? Yes. But I still take time out of my day. I'm always sometimes like at nighttime especially, I'm always in a country mood because it's got like that kind of methodical, like slow, not really slow, but slow feeling to it.
Yeah.
And it's the music I think of summer music when I think of country music, if I'm being honest. So, if I'm trying to just relax, I'm going to throw on some country. But yeah, back into classic country, though. So they use traditional country instruments like banjos, pianos, fiddles, and guitars. And, of course, their lyrics, song and lyrical structure, big deal. Big deal in classic country. Every classic country song has a story. It's talking about something. And of course, the contents of that story could vary. It could be talking about just a night at the bar. It could be talking about a tree. It could be talking like a tree, like nature in general.
Listen, grab all the criminals and hang them by that tree.
By that tree, exactly. So like it could be about whether the story is about nature, whether it's about a night at the bar, or your wife leaving you and taking the kids.
Or work.
Or work in general, work especially, since, country music is that blue-collar music. It's, the song and lyrical structure was huge when it came to classic country. They're always, always, always talking about something. It doesn't matter what it was. They could be talking about people. They could be talking about, political nature. They could be talking about actual nature, religious reasons.
Loss is also a big one.
Losses, work. Just everyday problems, if you will. And, if you've ever heard of the song Three Wooden Crosses, that's a fucking great song, and it has religious undertones. A lot of people that are blue-collar, working-class people tend to be, especially in the South, tend to be religious. Now, we live up in the Northeast. Religion isn't much of a big thing here. But, it still has a place. I'm not saying, we're not religious at all. I have faith. He has faith. But, it's what I see from, my peers and even other adults. It's
It doesn't play as significant a role up here as it does down there.
Down there plays a significant role. And you can tell that that's where this music originates from, that Bible Belt in the South. Definitely. Because there's a whole lot of religious undertones. Even if you're not really doing it to, praise Jesus, you're using it to describe something. Or you're using it to progress the story somehow. Like the song Three Wooden Crosses. That song's about, what is it? It's a preacher, a hooker, a teacher, and, what's the last one?
There's the preacher,
Mm-hmm.
the teacher, and the prostitute.
And the preacher handed the Bible to the prostitute at death. And then, the person that's singing the song ended up being a pastor of a church because he says at the end, that bloody Bible that my mama read to me. The preacher gave her that chance and then, got redeemed. That's a religious undertone within the music. There's plenty of songs like that. And, we got a couple of notable artists in here, and if you haven't heard about at least 3 of these people, yes, I'll say 3, you're living under a rock.
Yeah, you gotta get under that. You gotta get out from that.
You gotta get under that rock. You gotta get out from under that rock. Stop playing Fortnite for a second. Stop playing Fortnite for a second and get up from under that rock. So we got George Strait. He's a classic country artist. We have George Jones. We have Garth Brooks, Loretta Lynn, Reba McEntire, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, and Kitty Wells, to name a few. If you didn't hear, if at least one of them didn't perk an ear, what the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? But these are all people that use that classic country sound, and that classic country strong song structure and lyrical basis, and they perfected it and gave all sorts of influence to every other genre that we talked about today. They gave influence to outlaw country.
And I would definitely say they reach, touch, and change their fan base with how they did what they did and when they did too.
All of these people were the pioneers of country music and gave birth to all the other subgenres that we see today. Even some genres that aren't country related, like that kind of bluegrass country, country rock, as well, music from Brantley Gilbert and stuff. That comes from classic country. If you want to dig all the way back. So classic country gave way to outlaw country, indie country, and mainstream country, and even a couple of subgenres of rock. Your bluegrass, your country rock, your fucking hip hop, hillbilly rap, country rap, all that stuff. It even branched off into different. People are putting country into a different genre. There's country rap, there's country rock, and there's alternative country as well. All of this comes from these few artists and many, many more. Many, many more classic country artists.
We could not go over all of them.
I can't go over all of them because there's too much. And we're getting towards the end of the episode here, so we're feeling the fatigue a little bit. We got fights to watch still, so we got to stay energized.
Yep.
So we're gonna say like this right here. The main point of this episode was not only to give you a good introduction to country music, but to realize how important it is, because country music is a gigantic branch of music in general, and it's extremely important. And it's one of those things that really made storytelling in songs become apparent. Like, when did hip hop become popular? Late 80s, early 90s?
Yep.
That's after the story. And then we have a bunch of, like, great storytelling, like, rap artists. We got NF, we got Eminem. We got Logic, we got all them guys, right? They came after. We got J. Cole, we got Kendrick Lamar. We got all these guys who are big proponents of telling stories within their raps. But guess who popularized having a story in music? Country. So a lot of the stuff that you listen to has influence from country. Like even like metal bands, like maybe not the thrash metal of the 80s and early 90s, but definitely the new metal, like the Linkin Parks of the world, the From Ashes to New of the world, the I Prevails, all of them guys that talk about their problems have some roots in outlaw country. Like that moodiness, that feeling of depression, that feeling of anxiety, all that stuff. A lot of it comes from country music, specifically outlaw country. So, what we're trying to say is give country music a try.
Don't just shit on it because it's
Don't just shit on it because it's the popular thing to do. And, like, don't just brush me off here. You gotta realize how important it is. Country music has had a gigantic influence on the evolution of hip-hop, on the evolution of rock,
on the music industry.
On the music industry in general. Like, it's important. I mean, sure, I'm not even gonna lie. You might not like it. It might not be for you, but
We're not telling you to go and like it.
We're not telling you to go and like it, but we're telling you to acknowledge its importance. Like, jazz and country influenced what music is now. So, if you don't listen to those genres and just love to shit on them, I ask you to switch your judgment up a little bit and give them a shot. It might not be for you, and I'm not telling you to make it be for you, but at least acknowledge its importance, because think about everything that's happened after.
We're never going to tell you to like something. We're just going to
course.
give our opinion on these things and our own perspectives.
And so that's the main point of this episode. And of course, it's to give you an introduction to country music if you haven't gotten into it.
Yeah, because it was a request.
And it was a request, so
We do get to them.
we do get to them. I promise. It just takes a little while. But that'll do it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. So go, before we sign off, our email address, frontrowaccess15@gmail.com. You can send in some stuff there. We are on Spotify under, let's see, do I have it under Front Row Access on Spotify? I think I do. Let's see. Yep, so we got Front Row Access. It's so go and follow us on Spotify. If you're listening on there, go and press that follow button. Go ahead. I'll give you a second.
Well, I tell you my 3. I told you I would tell you.
Mm-hmm.
My Toby Keith 3 top ones that I listen to is I Love This Bar.
Mm-hmm.
In 3rd. As Good As I Once Was in 2nd. And I guarantee at least 95% of you have heard this country song, Red Solo Cup.
Red Solo Cup. I fill you up. And now these were your top couple of Toby Keith songs,
Yes.
you said?
I can't go over my top of all of them.
Yeah,
You didn't even get
too
to
hard.
all the artists.
It's too hard. And we're on a limited timestamp here.
But can I hear your 3 from your favorite?
From Luke Bryan?
Mm.
My top 3 from my favorite artist, which is, in fact, Luke Bryan, is Huntin', Fishin', Lovin' Every Day. That's probably my favorite by him. And then I also absolutely love Play It Again. And I like... Honestly, I've been loving, what's that song? Waves. Waves by Luke Bryan. Is he more of a me? And I also love Morgan Wallen too. I don't really have a top 3 for him yet though. But I do like a lot of his songs.
Under here. If you think I'm awkwardly positioned.
So yeah, with that being said, guys, to keep a long story short, go and check out some country music and stop shitting on it just because you were told to. And if it's not for you, that's cool. but at least we hope we gave you a new perspective, or at least made you we tickled your brain a little bit into
Yeah.
thinking how influential country music is to the rest of the modern music industry of today. And yeah, so go and follow us on Spotify if you're listening on there right now. Go ahead and press that follow button. We are Front Row Access Podcast on YouTube. Go and subscribe there. If you're watching this on YouTube, go and press that button. I'll give you a second.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up on the video if you want, or thumbs down me. Fucking either one. But leave a comment if you want. Leave a hate comment if you want. I don't give a fuck. But tell me that like Front Row Access is a piece of shit or something. I will just use it as fuel to keep going. And, yep, so we're Front Row Access Podcast on YouTube, Front Row Access on Spotify. Go and follow the Instagram, which is front_row_access. And then our TikTok, which is, let's see, I think it's front.row.access. Yes, it is, front.row.access on TikTok. And I hope you enjoyed the episode, guys. And as always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time with the Front Row Access Podcast signing off.